You know what I've been doing yesterday? Me neither. But today we're gonna react to episode 9 of Monster. And maybe more, I don't know. I don't know what the day is gonna bring. We're gonna have to see about that, but we're gonna react to episode 9 of Monster. I do hope you're enjoying these Monster reactions, really. And in case I haven't said it before, right? In case I have I actually posted it down on episode 2 and I think episode 3 as well, and said it and mentioned it a couple of times, but Monster is an official series now, okay? Monster is gonna go on, and if the reception is not terrible, I'm gonna do it fully, right? If the reception is not that great, I might actually stop in the middle of it, right? At an opportune moment, right? I might just make a cut in square in the middle of those 70 whatnot episodes of Monster, and might do something else in the meantime, see if that works better or not. Probably in that case, I'm gonna do like a 10-12 episode anime, not more than that. But if everything works out and the reception is relatively okay on Monster, I'm gonna do it all throughout. And even if it isn't and I'm doing something in between, I'm gonna finish Monster, right? I've committed to that. I definitely want to see Monster all the way to the end. If people are not watching it anymore, at some point I might decide to be like, okay, make a poll, are you still interested in Monster? If not, I'm gonna just watch it on my own and do a review of it, because the last couple of episodes have been kind of slow, but that's also possibly because a lot of you are like me when I'm watching reactions, especially on longer series, that I'm like, okay, let's wait until he or she is on episode 10 or something, and then I'm gonna binge the first 10 episodes when I have the time to do so. Yeah. So do let me know what you think about the series, how you like it, and all of that jazz. But yeah, we're just gonna go right into it. Let's talk about Monster episode 8, The Fugitive, which was a little bit more of a recap episode, and we're gonna go through it rather quickly. Yeah, we got it on screen. Yeah. I do think that I did something that I didn't want, but whatever, right? Yeah. I do think we don't have that much to talk about. We are mostly just recapping stuff, right? We are trying to get ourselves into the headspace of Dr. Tenma, and interestingly enough, we don't see a lot about Anna Liebert, but we are reintroduced or reacquainted with a character that we've seen in the first couple of episodes, which is Eva. And she hasn't been doing so well, if I might say so myself. Alcohol addiction, trying to mostly forget the things that happened in the last couple of, in the last couple of weeks and whatnot. I do believe that, wait, let me just quickly check on something. Right, never mind. Yeah, it's been rather interesting to see how she's coped with all of the things that happening to her, and she seemed to have realized that Tenma actually did really like her. The question is, did he like the thing, like the personality she was putting up front, the mask, even if that's part of herself, right? We'll talk about that in a second, but did he like the mask that she put up in front of herself, or did he like her as a general person? And I would have to say in that case, oh, gorgeous, by the way, gorgeous shot. I would have to say that probably he did like the mask she put up. And she's still kind of displayed as, yes, she's fallen, right? She's in a bad mood. She's kind of just absolutely fallen down, just living off of her inheritance of like what we've gotten to know in the last 9 years. She had 2 divorces apparently, and she's not in a good mood, but she still has her money, and she probably has gotten a lot out of these other 2 like marriages she had. She's still kind of low-key seductive, right? If you look at that, you do have like the like, I don't know how you call it, like the mantle dress that she's wearing, almost looks like she's not wearing any bra or anything, right? She's somewhat not taking care of her own appearance. But at the same time, we do see that she still has charms that can be applicable, right? That people do probably notice when she's interacting with them. despite her not as clean and as maybe proper appearance as it would be the normal standard in her like societal standing. But yeah, Inspector Lunge coming in here, kind of just poking the hornet's nest, right? Trying to get something out of her, but she still get loyalties to Tenma on the one hand because she thinks he was the only person who was ever really good to her without wanting her money, and the second thing being she might at this very moment already have kind of had the thought of, yeah, this could be my in, right? This could be my moment to kind of talk to Kenzo again and talk it out and maybe get together with him again, because she, I think deep down that is her thing, right? She did what her father told her to do. She had this attitude, and she still has that, right? This view on the world that you need to have some leverage to use on people, that everything is kind of like connections and relationships, that it's politics in a way, and that there's like, she does have all that knowledge that she gotten from probably her father, but maybe possibly even her mother as well, right? We don't know about her mother because she supposedly probably died. But yeah, we do see that, we do get to know that from Eva, but deep down she does long for human connection, right? She lost the only person that was kind of connected to her and kind of giving her, I don't know if that's the case, but probably her father was giving her love without any condition. Now obviously she probably has been taught how to manipulate people, right? How to rope them in, and was part of her father's schemes, but and maybe that was a way that her father showed love to her, right? If you do these things, right? If you are on my side, if you right, do what I say, if you help me get what I want, then I will love you, right? This kind of conditioning that's been placed on many people, by the way. It's not just nefarious, right? Sometimes we do it unintentionally. We put these expectations on people, and we're saying, all right, if you're a nice boy, if you're a nice girl, I will show you more love, I will show you more attention, right? If you are listening to me, if you bring back good grades, then I will appreciate you more, which kind of, especially if you're very young, sets the standard of, I have to do things to earn your love, which can be really complicated, especially if it's working in conjunction with other things happening in your life, around you, right? In your direct vicinity, that kind of gets you on the path that maybe all of your self-worth and self-appreciation is built on the simple fact that you do the things you do, right? You're very clever and good in school, or you're a very hard worker or whatever, and whenever you are at the point where you maybe can't do the things you normally can do, or you struggle, you fail, you kind of having problems with yourself, and you can't provide the work that you normally do, provide the performance that you normally do, be that in an academic setting or somewhere else where you have proven yourself and where you have learned that you will be loved and appreciated based on your performance in that specific field, that this is the times when you're struggling the most with your self-worth, with your happiness in life and whatever, because you have learned people love me if I do these things, if I'm good at these things. And suddenly you're not good at these things, right? And be that for whatever reason, right? Sometimes you're just stressed, you're pushing yourself too hard, whatever, right? There is times in life where we are not at our best, but we need to learn and appreciate ourselves in these times especially. And when you grow up in a household where you are loved mostly unconditionally, it never happens 100% unconditionally, I think, but mostly unconditionally, then I think you grow up more healthy and more able to deal with these situations, because your entire self-worth and your entire self-love is not based on the fact that you're performing and being clever or being very good or a hard worker or whatever, but it is just, you have a general understanding that at least your family and the people closest to you love you no matter, in like at your worst and at your best. And Eva did definitely not have that. She did definitely not have that. We do see that. But yeah. Dr. Tenma doing his thing, putting the surgical gloves back on, right? Being back in the saddle for a short stint. We do know this isn't lasting long. He had taken an extended leave, so we get the explanation, and Eva meets up with him again and is like, hey, Kenzo, be nice and whatever. And Kenzo, like, he opens up, he's like, okay, yeah, maybe she just wants to talk, right? She wants to, like, maybe she has something that she something important that she wants to talk to me about. But the more she's talking, she's just trying to evoke that nostalgia, right? To get in under his skin and rope him back in, be like, hey, we, like, the two of us, we were good together and whatever. She's trying to get that connection, right? She is desperately trying to find somebody who will love her for the person she is. The problem is Eva has shown that her morals in a crucial moment when Tenma was all the way down, right, at the bottom, on the streets, basically. She has shown that her morals are fundamentally different from Tenma's, and that is his big problem. And the second big problem is that he's been betrayed, right? That she turned around and wasn't helping him or trying to kind of make the situation bearable for him, because she could have still been on the side of her father, been like, this is like, you kind of went against father, that's not okay, but been like, it's okay, we're gonna work it out, right? We're gonna, right, in time and whatever. No, she dropped him, and that has been such a hurtful experience for him, that even though he might still have feelings for her here and there, right, because we do never kind of completely cut these connections, the feelings, like, at the very least, the memory of the feelings are still there, right? You still have these little things where you're like, I really wanted to love you, right? I really wanted to like you and be with you and whatever, but in the end, it hurts him too much because of all these things that happened, right? That is maybe not a trauma, but is something very stressful, a very stressful, emotional, hurtful experience that he went through. And he says, when he lets these feelings come up again, right? These nostalgic feelings of something that maybe isn't there anymore because the connection isn't there anymore, because she broke it by kind of dropping the mask, right? Then he might start to kind of like her again. And then he knows, or at the very least, he heavily suspects that in the end he's gonna be in a situation where he is gonna be hurt again, and that is not what he wants. He doesn't want to get hurt. He doesn't want to rope himself into these terrible feelings that he's been feeling during that time when he was completely at the bottom. Now for her, obviously, what we're saying is like, we're kind of displaying it and framing it in a way that this is her mask and she was fake. I don't want to say she was fake, right? That part of her that was with Tenma, that was like loving him, that was very affectionate to him, I think that still exists, right? That is part of her, that is her. The problem is that it's not all to her, right? And that is the problem we're coming up with often when you get to know somebody and in the end you find out something about them that is not conjoinable, that is not agreeable with the kind of person you are, and then you say like, I feel like I didn't know you really, and that's just because I didn't know all the sides of you. And that can be a problem, right? Because you can be like 2, 3, 4 years into a relationship and suddenly stuff like that comes up. Now, obviously, you need to accept that the person that you've been seeing all this time was your subjective perspective of that person. But that subjective perspective of that person is obviously also true, right? All the aspects that you've been seeing, all the aspects that you have been experiencing of that person are still that person. It's just not the entirety of the person. I do believe that all of our masks are ultimately part of ourselves. Even if we put up a mask and we're being completely fake, if we keep that mask up for a certain amount of time, I do believe that at the very least some aspect and some part of that mask is what we really are, right? You can't completely fake being somebody without taking something that is already inside of you and putting it out, in my opinion, right? Because this is like, you do need to have the capacity to understand that mask that you're putting forward and the impression it gives. Now, there's the possibility short term to be somebody completely fake, right? You can pretend to be somebody that you possibly are not, but I do believe that in the end, the mask is often 90% of the time part of who you are. And in Ava's case, I do think that's the case as well. But as we've seen, right, she has noticed all these moments when Kenzo was actually there for her or wanted to be there for her despite her awfulness. And she's kind of just looking back at it. And as I said last time, I do love that the buildings are behind her, but the sky's behind him, which kind of symbolizes the kind of mindset they are in. Tenma is more free in that sense, right? He has been released from all of these heavy things that weighted on him. Obviously, he still has a lot of shit going on, right, with Johan and whatnot. But he has made more progress in processing this. While Ava, behind her, there's a lot of concrete, which in my opinion symbolizes that Ava is kind of confined in her own space, right? She's desperate. She's locked into this cage of hers. But yeah, when nothing helps, her desperation turns into nastiness, right? Because this is what she learned to do, right? If from young on you were taught to betray, to blackmail, to use all the specs of power you have over a person to get them under your thumb, then obviously this is what you're gonna fall back on if everything else fails. So it's not that Ava didn't try to be a nice person, didn't try to be better than she is, right? Didn't try to be morally more upstanding. But when all else fails and she's feeling terrible and she's feeling like she's not getting what she wants, she's not getting what she desperately needs, she falls back on her standard MO, which is be a snake, be forcing people. And obviously in her head that plays out differently, right? I'm gonna rope him into a weird relationship where he doesn't agree, but then we're gonna evoke these feelings again and then we're gonna be together, right? It's not gonna work out that way. But in that moment, this is all, like, this is the straw she can grasp, the only straw she can grasp. But yeah, she does it, right? She does kind of just lock him into this, put him into this deadlock by reporting him to the police and kind of making accusations that are baseless, but that are maybe enough of an excuse for Lunge to finally move in and be like, okay, we're gonna take you in now. Especially since the necktie also belonged to Tenma, and now we do have the connection point to the Heidelberg murders even. Yeah, in the end, it's a desperate attempt to kind of release her frustration, right? Because first of all, maybe she thinks that he's on the run, whatever. He gets taken in by the police, and then she's the only one who can save him out of this misery, right? That is one angle. The other angle is just she's emotionally frustrated, right? She has all of these hurt feelings, hurt emotions, the sadness, the pain, all of that is inside of her, and she doesn't know where to go with it. So she takes the only route that she's learned to take, which is stab the people that cause that pain on you, right? And that is a lot of theories about aggression and about conflict do deal with the fact that we humans definitely have certain desires and certain frustrations if these desires are not fulfilled. And then we are... Now, obviously, it's very vague, right? This is not something we can one-to-one take over and be like, okay, yes, this is it, like a medical book or something. But there's certainly something about us being emotionally hurt and not being able to achieve the things that we desire, that we desperately feel like we need them, and the frustration coming out of this, leading to aggressiveness, leading to malicious actions and conflict and stuff like that. So yeah, this makes logical sense in my opinion. just as this makes logical sense too. We talked about that. We don't need to talk about that for a long time. Just the patience being on Tenma's side because he's such a saint basically to all of them. But Tenma saw the writing on the wall, so he resigned and hitched a ride out of there before it was too late. I do wonder if this is the last time he will see the hospital or if we will see it again at some point. Either way, this dreadful moment. I do love how the hallway kind of shakes and right, how they kind of run to the moment and he's like, it's playing in his head because he doesn't know, right? If we are in a shit situation and we know roughly what caused it, but we couldn't have done anything else, right? Or maybe we don't see what else we could have done. We're playing that through again and again and again, especially if it's traumatic, especially if it's recent, especially if it's still troubling us, right? And that is what's going through Tenma's head. It's just a constant film, a constant movie of just all the events that happened that led to this very moment. But the problem is that Tenma is the kind of person that when he looks at these situations, he's like, I couldn't have decided any other way, right? In any of these instances, I wouldn't have done anything else, right? Because this is like what is in my heart, what is in my morality. And then you start asking yourself, why do I deserve this, right? How could terrible things like these happen to me despite me making the right decision every time, in my opinion? But yeah. We're gonna get into episode 9. It's gonna be really, really fun. Probably. I mean, I can't promise anything. Maybe it's gonna be very, very sad. But what do I expect? Would I love to see again? Well, first of all, I want to see what Tenma's goal is now, right? What is he gonna do now that he's loose and on the run? Second of all, how does he finance himself? Although I think he has probably a lot like money in the bag, although they could probably follow these accounts, right? So they could freeze them or whatever. We'll have to see. The second thing I would have to say is Nina. I'm very interested to see her again, to see what she's doing. She seems like a very interesting, very nice person to me, and she's probably going to meet up with Tenma again at some point in time. They cross roads because their connecting tissue is Johan. But yeah. Let's get into episode 9. If you are new to this, go watch episode 1. Other than that, if you're new to this, pip in the description down below. Edited, not that much edited reaction over here because Monster is mostly okay. Yeah, check out the Discord, check out the Patreon, and if you're done with this video, give me a like, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Monster or other series that I'm doing. And let's get right into it. Alright, Monster episode 9 starts in a 3, a 2, a 1. A road. Oh yeah, we're going to Baden or something? I don't even know. We'll have to see. Yeah, he doesn't want to be detected. Dude, how do you notice the paper's 3 days old? What the fuck? Yeah. You gonna go for Johan? I almost forgot about that he's planning to kill him, possibly. It's gonna be very interesting. Let the quiet music start, right? I do love like the ghostly atmosphere of like the music that we hear here. It's not our typical intro, right? It's very subtle, it's very psychological, right? Completely different from the ED, which we do have the clear lyrics going on. But yeah, I see more glimpses of Tenma now. Like, I notice more how he's in the environment and which positions he takes. I do wonder what these, looks like Latin maybe or something. Have to maybe look into what words those are. But yeah, this is definitely a cat and mouse at this point. So, gonna be very interesting. And rain once again, despite it being summer. The girl and the seasoned soldier. Oh, is Anna actually going for the blind dude that Tenma talked about earlier, or is it more like just something completely different that we do have here? Yeah, playing in the rain. That's actually pretty like nostalgic, to be honest. That's a police precinct, maybe? Gießen police station. Okay. Afghan rebel guerrillas. Okay. All right. So this is our seasoned soldier, I guess. Bernhard. Hugo. Bro is not talking. Bro's like, please don't. Okay, who we're talking about? Oh, is it Tenma? Okay, why did he show up with like a army dude? Bro is like, you ain't getting anything out of me. That look. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get something out of somebody who has authority himself and believes that he's in the right. In this case, he just wants to protect his students, I guess. Respects that anonymity, that right to privacy in that sense. Although I do wonder if he changes his mind at some point. It's not easy to tell from like a get-go. And we're looking at 5 months ago. So I do wonder if this is before he did the thing with Nina, or if this is after. I mean, we saw the dates, but I'll have to check them specifically. I would say it's probably before he goes to Verden. So now that he has the gun, this is like the backstory of probably before he came back from his extended leave from the hospital. But it could be like just him on the way to Verden and then dropping by here, and now right now it's 5 months later. Yeah, we're gonna get like some drills going. Oh, and this girl, maybe his daughter, or maybe somebody he took in or something. I mean, I would assume he's not. I would assume he's not terrible. He's relatively fit, but he's probably not used to constantly exercising physically. Mm-hmm. That's what happens. And she just keeps jumping, right? She's just not interrupting. Very difficult to kind of change your pace in a moment like this. Oh, and we have time passing for sure. So I do assume like the 5 months ago, like the time that we are with Inspector Lunge, that's probably in fall at this point. And this is still in summer. Alright, I do apologize. Technical difficulties, but I did manage to actually plug the main light that I do have into the... Look at that forehead. Hmm.
分かったよ。そんなに睨まなくてもやるよ。私は。アトリだ。ひな鳥の餌でも探しているのかな。
Very quiet kid. That looks good. So yeah, the kid is his to some degree. Maybe she's mute.
食うのもトレーニングのうちだ。
Yeah. Yeah, they eat, man. Get a new nutrients, man. So quiet. Ooh.
お子さん、いや、お孫さんですか。
いや、
Neither.
この母親は俺が撃ち殺した。
Ooh, okay.
ミャンマーでだ。
Oh, that must be difficult.
ジャングルの掘ったて小屋に逃げ込んだら、あの親子がいた。
Guess this is like his attempt at atonement.
母親は銃を構えていた。
Yeah, and he reacted.
それで俺があの子を連れてきたってわけさ。俺と暮らして以来、あの子は一度も笑ったことがない。一生俺を恨んで生きるだろう。
I don't know. I think you're hating yourself more for it than she does.
と、そういうことになる。
But it's an important lesson.
銃なんか持たないことだ。
Yeah. Very curious thing. But she's cleaning up, right? She's doing the dishes, so I would assume that she, in some capacity at the very least, doesn't hate him. There's no rebellious behavior going on here. I think the man is hating himself more than she is actually hating him. There's definitely some curiosity going on. What I'm really interested in is she hasn't talked a word so far, which is curious. Yeah, and Tenma been living with them. And he's way more hungry. Alright, obviously. Cool down, man. You're gonna choke. I do love that. Like the time is passing, we can see that. Even like the seasons are changing a little bit. She didn't talk again. I mean, maybe she doesn't speak our language, obviously. Myanmar, right? But even then... I'm just wondering if it's a choice or if it's because she can't.
ランニングの時間だ。
そうか。
走り終わったら裏のくぼ地へ来い。え？
くぼ地？
射撃場だ。
Alright. Impromptu.
銃を撃つときには必ず引き金を2回引け。2度ずつ撃つことでとどめを刺す確率は飛躍的に高くなる。お前の命がないと思え。
Twice, you say. Alright. Double tap, I guess. This goes way against his nature, right? But he's resolved to do it. Shaking. Is it the mental or is it just him not? I mean, it's hard to aim a gun, right? literal millimeters, depending on like the range with the target is. Little millimeters will decide if you hit or not. Oh, he's cooking. Look at that.
なんだこれは。
いつも食事を用意してもらってるんで、今日は僕が日本の料理を作りました。
Ooh.
肉じゃがって言うんですけど、気に入ってもらえるかどうか。
Niku is meat, right?
木を削って作ったんです。この方が日本料理の感じが出ると思って。
Oh yeah, of course she. Alright.
うまいな。箸の使い方上手だな。
Maybe she learned it. I feel that heart. And he has like, oh yeah, he has the holster, of course.
甘えろ。
Yeah, I get why he didn't talk, right?
甘えろ。
You've gotten to know Tenma for real during that time. Oh, okay, okay. You get to learn like what the components are and how to build them together, how to take them apart. Understand your weapon. Who's that? Oh no, she's turned the other way, that's why.
どうした?
A bird? Yeah, I knew it. I knew it.
ダメだよ。巣に返さなくちゃ。死んじゃうぞその子。巣から離して育てるのは大変なんだ。めったに育て上げることなんてできやしない。
Alright. Back in the day, they used to say that the mother bird smells the human and then throws the chick out of the nest. I don't think that's true, right? I think that was like a fallacy that people used to tell. I don't think birds have that. Wow, birds have that good of a sense of smell. Holy shit, dude. He is determined. Oh, he's talking a little bit.
なんといっても集中力が抜群だ。ただ銃で人を撃つとなると別問題だ。最初のやつが撃てるか撃てないか。それで道が分かれる。銃を使えるか使えないかのね。
まあ、それはいい。で、彼の行方を知りませんか？教えていただきたいですね。
Goes like, nah, I ain't. But he might know. Although, maybe this is him telling.
お世話になりました。残りの受講料をお支払いしておきます。それと、肉じゃが食べてください。本当にありがとうございました。
Saying goodbye in a letter.
So.
First time she laughed. And we all process things differently.
彼の行方を知ってるんでしょう？
それは言えない。
Every time he's trying to prod things out of people, he realizes people are really loyal to him, right? People really hold him to high standards. Except for Eva, but Eva, that was a different case. I do wonder if this slowly changes his opinion of Tenma long term. Oh, and this is, obviously this is the girl, right, who was waiting for him. Yeah, I mean, for him, this is salvation, right? Because even if he is not able to forgive himself, at the very least, maybe she does. Although I don't know in how far she even blamed him, right? And Tenma continuing to be on the run. I love the atmosphere of this show. It's really, really dense. And every moment, even the moments which are relatively quiet, they give you what you need, and to a degree, right? They give you such an amazing feeling, right? You get so much out of them despite not necessarily getting a lot on the level of like story, right? It's not as dense in exposition, but it's dense enough in what it shows you, right? The way it uses the time it has, the way it effectively uses silence and atmosphere and room for the show to breathe. And Inspector Lunge is all over the place, we can see that. Alright, what's the next episode called? Let me see. Alright. Past Erased. Alright. Interesting. What could that mean? A past erased. Very, very curious. Anyway, I'll see you in the discussion. Let's talk about it, shall we? Alright, let's boom, get the episode up. Very, very, very interesting. We don't have that much to talk about this time, I think. You never know, right? I do love like how they display the different seasons. It's very distinct that we can see like the temperature rising and like the heat waves and whatnot. We do see all kinds of people from all walks of life, which I absolutely love, because we do see the entire spectrum of the people existing, not just like the cold business world of like Germany, or like the hospital life with the nurses and whatever. We do see everything from workers over businessmen over like the press, the police, whatnot. And equally so, we do see a lot of different towns and cities where Inspector Lunge is going from city to city, obviously like Tenma at this point and like Johann, all across Germany at this point. And holy shit, if he doesn't look determined. I do love how they cut off like his face, not cut off, but how the lighting is cut on his face with like the beard and everything, like the mouth and whatnot lit up, but his entire upper face with the eyes being in darkness. That is very symbolic, if I might say so. Then we do have the gun in his pocket with the holster, which we're gonna come back to later. Lunge is typing again. We do have this routine behavior that he is having, where he's typing in the words so he can remember them properly. Maybe he's even typing it later to himself, right? I'm wondering why he's not using like a recording device or something, because we have seen these in the show, so they existed around that time. I mean, of course they did. It's the 90s. But yeah, what was actually the day? Just so I can see that. We have chapter 9, and we have the little girl that we come back to. Again, really cool that we come back to this. We don't show it completely, but when we go outside and we're reminded that the little girl was there playing in the rain, we immediately know who it is, right? This is very good storytelling, in my opinion, because it just comes back to loop around and it like close the circle in a very nice way. Do see these railings a lot, and like even today, it's like and you immediately notice the police precinct. Police officers going out, police officers going in. And we do have... Alright, let me just get the subtitles on the screen. Gießen police station. Gießen is in Hessen, which is around the middle of Germany. Like the middle section, more to the south than it is to the north. More to the west than it is to the east. You got started in French Foreign Legion, blah, blah, blah. We talk about, like, the soldier that were... do we even know his name? Oh, yeah, Hugo something. So, he started in the French Foreign Legion, so he's not even a German national, as far as we know. But Hessen and Gießen is somewhat close to France. Not as close as, like, North Rhine-Westphalia, Rhineland-Pfalz, and Baden-Württemberg, which were, like, the countries at the French border that we were mostly on, right? Where the Rhine is going. I showed it last time. Maybe I'll bring up the map again shortly. I'm probably not gonna circle anything aside from maybe Gießen if I can find where it exactly is. But yeah, we are in another city once again, right? Gießen, a big university city also, right? Right next to like Marburg and some other stuff. There's a lot of like, as far as I know, medicine and also psychology and other stuff going on around there. Yeah, Nicaragua, he was in the war, helped, like, aided the Afghan rebel guerrillas, whatever. Right, he has a history of Mossad with various things, so he's gotten around, and he's, like, a very seasoned soldier and, at this point, instructor. And he's being questioned, but his loyalty remains. And I do love his, like, attitude, where he's, like, just arms kind of locked, being like very silent while Lunge is painting the picture and trying to prod things out of him. But he's telling a story. We don't know how much of the story we're telling, which is very interesting. We don't know how much of this he actually tells Lunge. I would have to assume that he's telling like piecemeal, right? He's not telling every little detail, but he's giving general impressions of what he thinks, or when Tenma came to him and what he thought about Tenma. Because we have to assume that this is what actually happened, that he was doing that. Very interesting that we zoom in on like the butterfly being killed by the ants on the ground. I've seen that imagery before in anime, in more modern anime, mind you. 86, for example. Shout out to 86. But yeah, I do wonder what that symbolizes, right? Like, we could look into that. I can't really point it down. Cruelty of nature or whatever we want to do, right? But he's contemplating, all right. And he's starting basic training and getting to know the right. Let me look up his name actually. Because Bernhard, Hugo Bernhard, or Hugo Bernhard. We get to know him, and we get to know the girl, which I don't even know if we know her name, but he supposedly saved her from Myanmar. She's very quiet, right? She doesn't talk a lot, but like I said, it could be because she doesn't speak the language, and we don't know how much he has been teaching her, or how much he has been able to teach her. It's very difficult to teach somebody who's speaking a different language than you do, especially if that person has been around for a while, right? If they have been like 5, 6, 7 years old and have already picked up their original language, it's very hard for them to adjust to the new language of like the environment they're in. Now, obviously, in a lot of cases, it's still possible to do so, right? It's still possible to actually learn that and pick that up, but you're gonna be having more difficulties, and maybe she's just not that interested in talking. There's a lot she's lived through, right? You don't know what happened before her mother got killed. You don't know what difficult times she's been living in, like military conflicts and whatever, right? Especially since Hugo was there during like a military operation, and he defended himself against the mother because she raised a gun and was starting to shoot. But he blames himself for that, of course. And she's very observant. Children are super observant, okay? Like observational learning, model learning, that is one of the main ways that children learn. Yeah, so whatever you do in front of a child, be very conscientious about that. it is, at the very least, depending on what consequences the child observes is happening based on that, it can very well teach a child how to proceed in a social interaction, right? Either on the one hand, right, being very right, being aggressive. For example, aggression gets learned a lot with like observational learning, model learning. The consequences of your actions, right? If you're being rewarded for doing something morally wrong, the child might learn the wrong lessons, right? There's certainly a lot, and your behavior during it, right? If you enjoy doing it, if you right, how you react to it, how often you approach a situation a certain way. This is all yeah. But she's a very quiet and observant child, most definitely. There's a lot we have to infer from what's going on inside of her rather than actually getting to know that, which is very interesting because it focuses our attention more on observing what she's actually doing, and not looking at what she's saying, which she isn't. She isn't saying anything, but yeah. Our soldier here does blame himself and does believe she hates him. And he shares that. He's like, she's been like, with me since then. I do wonder how he picked her up and how he managed to adopt her or whatever. I guess he had connections. Back in the day, it was a little bit easier to do these things. But you do see that she's going and he's leaving. I do wonder why she does that behind his back. If that is a thing of like, to a degree, spite, right? In sense of like, I'm not going to show you that I care about you because there's like conflicting feelings going on within me, right? Because you did take my mother away from me. Yeah, right? You ripped me out of this environment that I knew. But at the same time, right? There is some part of me that understands that this wasn't your fault, right? That understands that deep down you're not bad or evil, you're a good guy and you blame yourself for that, right? The more a child grows, the more they actually are privy to these informations and actually being able to observe and properly assess a situation like that. But Tenma sees that. He's like, she's cleaning up after both of them. She's right? She's doing these things without him being like, hey, do this, right? I do think this is the last thing he would probably ask of her because he feels so guilty about it. He's just trying to provide her a home and food and whatever. But he sees himself, I would think, to not have the right to actually demand anything from her, to not have the right in a way to maybe even show affection to her, act as if he was close to her. But I think that changes with Tenma, and that is also why he's so intent on not telling on Tenma or right, not displaying him in the wrong light. Because for him, Tenma is a hard worker, right? But the reflections, this is great, right? We do show what environment we're in without showing what environment we're in, right? You look at the ground, you look like it's muddy, whatever, it's probably fall time. But we do see. And then the step that is going through, right, and this rippling on the water surface, making everything blurry, that's such a cool thing to do. And we immediately know he's jogging in the woods, right? He's pushing himself, and we do see she's observing him, and she's coming actually to his aid when he fell down. She was like, come on. Shows that she cares, that she isn't just observing and hating or just being negative towards him, but that she's just a very passive person, right? Probably from what she experienced, maybe even her temperament, right? A lot of that plays into like who we are, both temperament, right? The general like level of activity and aggression or non-aggression that we are born with, but also obviously the experiences we made throughout life. And she's just here, she observes, but she's willing to help, and she has a heart in that regard, right? And we do learn weapons training. In the beginning, we do have, I love that, the shaking gun. Not only because maybe he's thinking about what he's going to do eventually, right? There's the psychological issue, but it could also be just, it's very hard to control a gun like on a very specific level, right? Because you do have to tense your muscles, you do have to find the right angle to shoot at, you do have to be prepared for the recoil that's coming in. So it's not that easy. It's not that easy to do that in the beginning. But he is determined. Again, love the shots of nature. and how the seasons and the times change. He's getting some food. He's like very thankful for what the people provide him with. We do have that little adorable moment where he's like our Hugo is struggling to actually eat the Japanese food here, Niku, whatever it was. Niku, I think, means meat, so I would assume it's something like, I don't know, mitsu, whatever, right? But it's a Japanese dish, and he's kind of struggling with the chopsticks, which any or most Europeans can probably relate. It's like the first time you hold chopsticks, it's very difficult, and after you've done eating, if you made a decent effort at it, you end up having real pain in your fingers to actually do it. So yeah. And it's amusing to him, of course. Have that little adorable moment where he's pointing over. She didn't pay any attention to that. But yeah, we're training how to pull them. We're learning what the gun is like. And we have that little moment with the chick, as if Dr. Tenma wasn't a saint enough. He's actually putting chicks back into their nests. But yeah, there was this rumor back in the day when it was like, okay, you don't touch the chick because then it smells like human, and then it gets thrown out of the nest. I don't know if that's true. If you know, tell me in the comments down below. But I think I heard at some point that this was just kind of a misconception that people had. Everything is determined in 3 seconds. Yeah. His SS concentration was phenomenal, which I believe, right? He's a surgeon, and he would probably also be very precise. And he's like, yeah, the first person he's gonna shoot, that's gonna determine if if he will be able to do so. And he would know, right? As a soldier, there's probably more than enough soldiers who start out in the army who are trying to actually do something, right? The first time they're trying to shoot somebody, they can't pull through, and then subsequently right, maybe at some point it's gonna happen, they can actually do it, but oftentimes they will probably be unable to do it and follow through with it. Lieber Herr Bernhard, vielen Dank für Ihre in den letzten 5 Monaten das restliche habe ich beigelegt. Ihr Kenzo Tenma. PS, essen Sie bitte das Nikujaga, das ich für Sie gekocht habe. Nochmals vielen herzlichen Dank für alles. Ja. They are doing a really good job of at the same time, like with the handwriting, right? So some of these words you can't really make out, but also with just just doing a really good job as displaying like German and whatnot. This is like back in the day when there was still Deutsche Mark and not Euro. And this is the first time she's laughing and actually showing him that she's laughing. I do wonder why she held back so long. If this was this conflicted feelings, right, as we've established possibly, but it might as well just have been that, yeah, I don't know, she needed that much time to just gain that yeah, how do you say, relaxedness, right, to express that. Maybe it was a reception on his part, right? Because he's always this earnest. He's always this serious. Oftentimes children reflect the attitude that we show, and since he already has these guilty feelings a lot, and he's this like tough drill sergeant guy, maybe she was just mimicking what he was like, and trying to just follow suit on what he displays to the outside, even if deep down he's like an okay guy, right? He's a nice guy and all of that. There is this display in the way he shows facial expressions and the way he carries himself, that maybe she was just following suit on, and has really taken him aback. And yeah, they let him go, and he's overjoyed that, well, yeah, I mean, it's a really tough thing, right? Especially these deeds, these things that we do that we can't forgive ourselves for. That is the toughest thing, right? Because we ourselves are our own toughest critics. We are so tough on ourselves oftentimes, and we have so much to really process if we do things that we, depending on our moral standards, can't forgive ourselves, that we we struggle with, right, to a degree, right? If we see that we caused pain to people, it is so hard to actually, right, to forgive ourselves for it, even if the person in question has already forgiven us. Now, obviously, the person forgiving you makes this a lot easier, right? It makes it makes it easier to move on, to process everything that's coming after that, to maybe eventually forgive yourself for it as well. Even if you remember that it was the biggest mistake of your life, you can still be like, okay, I did it, I accept that. It is what it is, right? And I have to move on and just live my best life after that. The problem for that is if we don't have that moment where we do see that the people that we did these things to, that they actually have more or less processed it, right? That they have to a degree gotten over it, that they do not hold animosity towards us, that they do not have lingering pain coming from it. I'm sure this girl has a lot of trauma, but I'm sure that Hugo here is not the only source of her trauma. And I'm pretty sure that he blamed himself longer than she did actually blame him. Even, well, that is assuming that she even blamed him in the first place. And seeing her enjoy life, right? Seeing her be happy, be affectionate, right? Have fun in the rain, right? Playing in the rain like a child should, right? Having a real childhood. That is something I think that is incomparable of a feeling for him personally in the situation that he is in. And it is really nice to see. And this is what, even if it wasn't Tenma directly, indirectly Tenma has done that for him, which has opened a whole new world for him, right? A whole new perspective, a whole new lease on life, which makes perfect sense for him, that he's like, yeah, I'm not telling you where he's going, even if I know. And I don't think it's clear that he actually knows. We know the letter, and the letter did mention nothing where he's going, right? So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know the exact dates. I looked it up shortly, but it's quite hard to actually find the proper, right, the proper point when it's actually being written out. I do assume this is before he goes to bed, so I'm very curious where we're gonna go. He's still traveling like in the back of a car. So here we go, right? Next step on the road. What's gonna happen now? Well, he's gonna follow Johan, and where's Johan gonna go? Well, he has his own plans. And who is he gonna meet? Maybe Anna, because Anna also wants to go where Johan goes because he wants to end it once and for all. Possibly. We don't know it, okay? But we do know that this is a very, very much a possibility, and I would love to see her again because she's a very intriguing character. That was Monster Episode 9. Yeah, I do hope you enjoy these. They might not come out as regularly or as like in chunks as you might want to, right? We do have, like, I did these 2 double episodes, and now I'm like doing single episodes again. It's mostly because I don't have the time. I have a lot to do, right? Like 2-3 days of work a week. Then we do have like organization on like moving and whatnot that's going on at the moment, and I do additionally have to do some learning for like my exam that's coming up soon, right, in less than a month. So there's a lot of moving parts. But if you did enjoy this video, please leave me a like. Subscribe for more monster content, for more bocce, for more other things going on around that. Maybe some JJK at some point when I do have more time again, hopefully. Other than that, check out the Discord, check out the Patreon, and I do hope you have a wonderful day.